ladies and gentlemen, this is Benjamin Breaker Novotny. Hang on just a minute, I've got a black screen for some strange reason. Let me go ahead and take a moment to fix that before we get the intros underway. Apologies in advance, but now, hang on just a moment. There we go. I'm not sure why it was acting so wonky. It might have been my capture card, my locally installed capture card. But enough about that. In the upper right hand corner, spawning as our blue Terran, he is mYinsanity's JJakji. And in the lower left hand corner, evening things up there on game number 2 on Gfinity Research Station, it is Evil Genius's Jaedong. So where do we go with this game is the real question. I don't know where to place this, but I feel like this is anyone's game. I actually didn't pay attention to this segment of the tournament. I only really tuned in once I saw the quarterfinals and what was going on at that point, because there was a certain level of statistics and demographics that I was interested in, how do I say this, paying attention to and presenting to people that are important and influential here in Taiwan. But enough about that. We've got a very normal opener coming from our Terran JJakji. He's going for barracks and refinery shortly afterwards, basically saying, hey man, I'm going for a Reaper and I'm going to keep you as honest as I possibly can. My red Zerg opponent who tried taking advantage of me on game 1 in Dead Wing, and I abused it. So there we go. Jaedong's going to go for the natural at a perfectly ordinary timing. And the beat goes on. The game goes on. So, on this map, I mean, I'm just the style, the playstyle that JJakji has, I imagine, would echo Bio more than anything else. I'm not so sure about him doing mech, but of course, if we're talking about mech on this map as compared to Gfinity Research Station, we're talking about a much shorter distance that a Terran player is going to have to run to in order to get from his base to his opponent's base. I know that may not look like it was such a long distance, but it kind of is, kind of isn't. But the fact of the matter is it's a shorter distance than the distance between main base to main base on Gfinity Research Station. That's the key point I'm trying to illustrate here. And I imagine wall-offs are just a little bit more viable. Jaedong's going to follow this up with a pool and then an extractor. And quite the timely manner, I might add. He's not going with... How do I say this? He's not going with something that screams, you know, layer tech or anything else of that nature, although I would be ready to retract that statement should he actually rush layer in this game. Who knows? These guys, Codes contenders, who knows what they've got planned up their sleeves? We're about to find out. So there it is, the Reaper now getting into the main, and he's gonna get shooed away by these lings. He's just like, nope, shoot lings, don't bother me. But now there's altogether 6 lings in that main, and Reaper should be dealt with eventually. Not really destroyed per se, but at this point, just, how do I say this? By the merit of the aggression that we have coming from our Terran, then it should be basically echoing just straight up and down. This is going to be some kind of an aggressive Reaper opener, which means the third Reaper is just about to finish. And with that being said, the goal of this opener is to do some form of damage. It's amazing to note that neither of these Reapers has actually gotten a single kill thus far, though, because Jaedong's micro is just that amazing. Meanwhile, back at home, the natural is going to finish up for JJakji very soon, and he's even getting started on his very, very quick third. If I'm not mistaken, there's altogether 3 Reapers on the map. They're all 3 just healing up, and then I imagine they're going to go bother Jaedong some more. But everything is in position, prepped and ready, and everything else in between. That one queen getting microed back is going to be safe for the time being. Goal of 3 Reapers, I forget who exactly designed this build. I believe it might have been MMA, but the goal of that kind of an opener is meant to do some form of damage, be it economic or just getting a queen. Even getting a queen is economic damage, because what you're doing is you're slowing down your opponent's production. But if your opponent has 3 queens, well, that's really only slowing down creep spread. It's going to cost them another 150 minerals to replace that. But of course, it is, I guess you'd say, I wouldn't really qualify it as direct economic damage, but yeah. So Jaedong's here. He sees no extremely early third just yet. The natural is more... Oh my god, it's so wide open. Why doesn't he make his move? But the spine crawler back at home is just about to finish up. Creep spread is pretty decent for this stage of the game. And now those Hellions are just about to arrive. Jaedong knows this, and he's going to make a run at the natural. He's going to get... Uh-oh. What's he going to get? First time. Zero question. He sees that there's no gases there. So this has got to speak volumes to him about what his opponent is doing. I did just miss what was happening there with the observer. There we go. He sees that his opponent's going for a very quick third. He himself, however, is getting a Baneling nest and going for layer tech. Okay. I thought maybe there was something a little bit peculiarly strange about this. But now we've got a Banshee on the way. Very standard timing. Is Cloak done? No, it wasn't even started. I can appreciate that move. But right now, this is a lot of Hellions. I feel like Jaedong is in a very dangerous position at this moment. He doesn't have a Roach Warren. He's got a lot of Lings, though. Those Hellions are on creep, and he's got a Spine Crawler to aid should he need it. That was, I'd say that's some really edgy defense, if you will. But like right now, one thing that's working against the Dong is the fact that he doesn't have creep spread at this peculiar location. At least not enough of it to make a significant difference when it comes to Hellions versus Lings and Spines and everything else in between. That Spine Crawler just went down without even saving a single Spine. Or excuse me, that Spine went down without even heaving out a single shot. A few Banes are going to finish up here, and it looks like this should be cleaned up. Lings coming in for full-blown surround, and what the Lings and Banes don't get, the Queens should, I imagine. They are spread out fairly well, and this is a pretty sick defense coming from the Jaedong. However, I do want to highlight just how many units were lost there in exchange for what, and their value at the same time. Jaedong lost just a teeny bit more. And that is to be expected when you're throwing Banelings at someone, because those, of course, are Zerglings that cost 75 minerals and 25 gas. They come straight from Zerglings, 50 minerals, but you're throwing essentially 75 minerals and 25 gas at your opponent every time you make a single Baneling. At this point, I'd say the defense, like, just imagine for a minute if that was, say, 6 roaches he made the defense with instead. Anyway, enough about that. Roaches aren't quite mobile enough. I can understand his decision to do that. Or not go with roaches. But altogether, all in all, at the end of the day, he holds. Everything's making, how do I say this, for solid play. The Mutas here are trying to get in there, but it looks like indeed it's going to be mech coming from JJakji. A single Thor. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Arrgh! He's got to pull those Mutas back. So now that he has basically been alerted that it is going to be in fact mech, what's the choice going to be here from the Dong? He's continuing to go with +1 melee and +1 carapace. Oh no. Oh no. I mean, Hellbats, yes, they... Oh boy. Maybe in some ways Jaedong knows, maybe in others Jaedong just doesn't know. I've made this mistake before myself countless times, but he might have gotten a misread, who knows. We're about to find out. He's got an infestation pit. He's going for Enduring Locust. Okay, so he knows more or less what this is. Unless he's played Swarm... Yeah, that many Hellions, he knows, for sure. Stormhost Muta is somewhat peculiarly strong against this kind of composition coming from Jaedong. Or excuse me, from JJakji rather. But with this many Vikings, I don't know if it can be done or not. We've got 4 Swarm Hosts on the way at the moment. I imagine he could also throw a few different other units into the mix. Roaches, Hydras, whatever have you. Just mix things up a bit. That is essentially what mech is. Even to some extent, Zerglings are useful versus mech, but you have to use them in the correct situations. If your opponent is completely out of Hellions, then believe me when I say Lings are going to do work versus Thors and tanks. He's going for an early 4th base as quickly as possible, and it's about to finish up, but that 3rd is oversaturated. The main, I don't understand this decision from JJakji. He's got a few too many SCVs right now. That's a bit odd, but I don't see the reason for doing that just yet. Meanwhile, in the background, I mean, the Locusts are trying to clear out the middle of the map, give Jaedong just a little bit more room to move. But in the end, it's looking like it's not working out. Well, I mean, Jaedong, he's got a little bit more creep spread. He's got creep spread about halfway across the map. His opponent is oversaturated. I feel like at this point, Jaedong is only helping his opponent by killing some of these SCVs. He's not really. There's too many here. It's oversaturated. I don't see the reason for it. And I like the way he's using these cutesy little Zergling Burrow plays to actually force scans out of his opponent. That's actually quite valuable. No mules. Excuse me, less mules for every scan that goes out. So, just one way of looking at it in a useful format. And I love the way JJakji's he's using these Thors, or excuse me, not Thors, rather Vikings the way he should be. He's just using them to control the skies as best he can. They could actually land here and kill a queen. But it looks like these mutas are finally going to come in here and clean them up. And I think with that being said, our Terran will have actually cleared the map of... How do I say this? He's going to be clearing himself of a little bit more supply. And 3 more command centers are on the way in the background very early from JJakji. I'm wondering if he's jumping the gun on this. Excuse me, as I did just... I tried to sneeze just a moment ago. Apologies. I'm not really ill, but I got a smoker's cough. I gotta work on that. Okay. So for the time being, the game goes on, the beat goes on, everything goes on, and there's more and more swarm hosts working their way into this game from the Dong. They're repositioning themselves at the moment. This gold base, I feel like, will not be landing anytime soon. It might just get cleared out, but wait a minute. Oh boy. There we go, the Locusts. The command center sees it. Scan goes down, revealing all of these swarm hosts, and now it looks like JJakji is a little bit reluctant to move forward. But he says, okay, well, I have to move forward. If I don't, then I'm out of this game. He's right about that, too, I might add. That is the classic rule of thumb. If you can't just take another extra base, you're eventually going to run out of income. Alright, so swarm hosts. Can they break through? It looks like they're going to break through a few Hellbats. 2 Hellbats, and that's it with this wave. Oh, but look at the mutas. They're doing such an amazing job here. This is the beauty of Swarmhost Muta. You can't be in 2 places at once if you're Terran and meching. And right now, this is what's working very, very well in favor of Jaedong. It looks like he might get away with a single, no, not even a single orbital command kill, but he is definitely taxing his opponent. Meanwhile, JJakji is going to make a big run-by happen here at the gold, I might add. Oh my god, the scan going down beautiful there on the timing. He only got about 4, 6, 8 workers at that point. Apologies, as we do have them splitting up between the 3rd and the 4th in the lower right. But I mean, at this point, he's not really hurting Jaedong. He's hurting Jaedong's bank. He's keeping it from getting bigger just a little bit faster. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of worth his time to kill those workers, but at the same time, I feel as though he should be doing something to really deal with his opponent's army. If he had a few Banshees here, for example, and they were to scan on top of all of those swarmos, then the question to be asked then is, you know, how does my opponent survive there? He's got a scan on it. The Thors, I might add, are completely out of position, so if there were actually some mutilations here, then this entire tank line would be decimated. Looks like... There we go. Okay, okay. Not enough. I mean, you could have just about any number of Swarmos here. You could have 200 Swarmos here, and I have a feeling that this line would be unbreakable from JJakji. Meanwhile, in the background, more and more bases are being constructed. Jaedong's got his Lings here, just catching on to what's happening slightly, ever so slightly. He doesn't have perfect vision of this, but I mean, I imagine he'll have something to spot out of this eventually. Scans going down, left and right. There we go. That orbital command was finally repaired. I was wondering if he was going to actually... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, man. That's a lot of SCVs he just lost. I'm wondering if those were thrown away. You know what? I'm going to go back and check that out. think it was harassed that the Mutalisks did. About to find out. Where on earth is this happening? I'm trying to figure it out right now. Oh, he's killing his own. There we go. Alright, JJakji was killing his own SCVs. Makes perfect sense now. He wants to actually clear that out and turn that into army supply. I was wondering for a minute, like, where on earth did that happen? Because, like, the mutas came from the front. They were getting eaten alive. The swarm host couldn't really break the tank line there. But now I just learned something new with the GameHard observer interface that we have at present. I love this, you know, the Birdling play just doesn't stop. But now, effectively speaking, almost every base on the map has been taken. JJakji is being stretched thin here, I might add. This is really hurting him. He's at, it may not seem like a big deal, 20 supply, that's about it. But it really is a bigger deal than you might actually initially think. He's losing a few tanks here and there. I mean, it's just like, these are scratches. Let's just put it that way. But there's no anti-air here, and I feel like if the mutas go at that position, then JJakji is essentially doomed, like, gradually. One missile turret, a few ravens to accompany this as well. Those are energy-dependent units, which means as the game develops, like, this is... I feel like if it comes down to such a situation, JJakji will be able to outlast his opponent. If he can just get to that critical mass number of ravens, he'll be okay. This upper left-hand corner base is kind of exposed, but the missile turrets are going to basically fix that. Scans going down left and right, spores everywhere, keeping these swarm hosts safe, I guess you could say. Right now, like, the swarm hosts are essentially going to play the role of insurance here for Dong. They're not so much winning in the game, they're actually just keeping his opponent from, how do I say this, moving out. Motion sensor towers just about everywhere. JJakji is virtually impenetrable at this moment, but he doesn't quite have the income to keep up with his opponent. I feel like in some ways it could be a total misread or a total mistake to actually start throwing away SCVs, because he's not at 200 just yet. In that regards, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he's jumping the gun just a little bit. Let me place it that way. But now we got battle cruisers coming into the mix, and we've also got corruptors coming into the mix from Jaedong. They're at +2/+2. We've got +3/+2, and that's missile attacks and carapace, I might add, coming from Jaedong. Now, if I had to guess, I'd say that there was going to be a planetary fortress built here, just basically meant to shield everything off, and then we're good to go. Well, here we go, slight move out, but there's not even a single Banshee here. Nice, picked off on one of the corruptors. Ooh. Excuse me, one of the broodlords rather. The Raven there actually did get totally snatched out of the sky, and it looks like I don't know if this is a good idea to actually poke forward like this from JJakji. One wrong move. Well, he does have the bank; it's building itself back up right now. Jaedong's just picking at tanks left and right. No, oh my god, missiles just locking onto all those corruptors, phasing them out, and that exposes the broodlords at this peculiar location. Just, now they're getting absolutely wrecked. But I mean, Jaedong, he's got the bank, he's got 28 more corruptors on the way. Not really spreading creep all that much, I might add, but, you know, not that that's a bad thing. Oh boy, he occupies pretty much all of the map. He occupies overgrowth. Like, what's Wall Street, bro? I occupy overgrowth. And at this stage, I don't know. I feel like this is where the game kind of slides a little bit back into favor of JJakji. The one thing that's working in this situation, when you've got battle cruisers coming into the mix, your goal as a Zerg player is to take every expo that you can, and essentially just gradually take down what your opponent has with each and every wave of corruptors that you can make. The best example I can think of was a game that I saw Scarlet playing against MVP in. And that was a King of the Iron best of 7. And what had happened essentially was MVP took 4 bases because Scarlet pulled out a strategy that managed to grab her control. Well, hold that thought. We've got a whole lot of tanks getting absolutely face wrecked here. Yamato Cannon's going to connect with the Broodlords. Hunter Seeker missiles are going to lock onto some Corruptors. Jaedong Micros just the ones that he needs to back right in the nick of time. And now it looks like this is a fight that is going heavily in favor of the Dong at the moment. But JJakji holds, and he's chasing down a good chunk of these Broodlords and Corruptors. Now Jaedong's got no choice but to kind of face this head on. He doesn't have the gas income to keep up with his opponent at the moment. He doesn't have the gas bank, rather, excuse me. And now it looks like this is the rebellion coming from JJakji. He's like, I got scans on top of your units, bro. That's all I need. He's just rotating back the correct Vikings, and that's all he needs to do. There we go. Jaedong succeeds. He admits defeat, and there it was. Essentially, in this choice as Zerg, I mean, I don't want to just highlight Jaedong as, you know, losing straight out. But in this situation, what you should be doing as a Zerg player, I want to go back and illustrate this just a little bit more. Back when the players were, I guess you could say, kind of fighting. Alright, so I'll just stop it right here and explain my point. As you can see, just about every base on the map is taken by both players. There's this one that hasn't been taken by Jaedong just yet. I don't really fault him for that, but at the same time, what I'm highlighting is your goal as a Zerg player, once you see battle cruisers coming to the mix with +3/+3, is to take every single expo on the map that you can and just max out on Corruptors, because it's going to take about 3 waves of Corruptors max at +3/+3 to take down a full 200 battle cruiser army, if that makes sense. In theory. What I've seen, if you will. Best example I can think of, again, is Scarlet versus MVP in the King of the Iron forum, which was about maybe 1 year ago. Yeah, it was shortly after I arrived in Taiwan that I was casting that best of 7. The way it ended in that game when we saw Swarm Host, well, MVP, the situation was a little bit different. MVP was restricted to taking only 4 bases. JJakji here has 5, and one of them is a gold. Adding to the map that they were playing on, I forget the name of it, but it has a lot more expansions, and also the early game, Scarlet was able to take control of the map by going with a Speedling opener and delaying MVP's natural expo, putting him behind, effectively speaking. So, I mean, not the end-all, be-all, how do I say this, method of victory, if you will. But just how do I put this? One of those things from an analytical perspective that it's just a classic rule. Let's put it that way. All right, so I'm not a PhD holder in StarCraft. I'm Breaker SC2. I'll see you guys next time.